Hi everyone, I'm Michelle. I used to be a B2B SaaS marketer for around 8 years. And now I'm actually a freelance copywriter for B2B SaaS companies, mainly in the health and wellness space, and also a marketing coach for other heart-led solopreneurs, as I like to call them. And I would say for a venture, I haven't gone on venture in a while. But I used to like going hiking. But like the low, I feel like when I say that, my friends would be like, "You don't really hike." But it's like going on trails. I don't do like the 6 hour hike. That's not for me. But I do
Yeah.
like nature.
But you do a lot of
Um,
traveling too.
yeah, I do want to do more because like a couple years ago I was in Japan and that was for a wedding. And I was also, well, I think I've been traveling for weddings. Like I was in Japan and then I was in Cabo, I was in Mexico. I want to go to Japan next year though.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, it'll be so nice because I love Asian food. Well, I also love Japanese food. Yeah.
Same. Oh yeah. Okay, let's talk about you spent 8 years doing B2B marketing. How did you get into that and why did you leave?
How did I get into that? I would say in university, I just studied I don't know what the States is like because I'm in Canada, but for us, when I studied like management and marketing in university, it's more so prepping you to go into things like P&G, Unilever, like the traditional CPG companies, brand management stuff.
Mhm.
But then I don't know, somehow in me, I was like more of a are we the digital native generation? Like,
I think
I was
so.
like, I
Yeah.
like to figure things out. So I guess self-taught digital marketing. And then, so when I graduated from university, I was like, okay, let me find more of like a digital marketing role. And then to be honest, in my whole career, I never really officially throw resumes. It's through like coffee chats and just talking to people or like referrals.
Hmm.
And that's how I built it all up. So I feel like in human design, I'm like a 4-1. And so it made so much more sense now. Like my opportunities in general, like even like freelance clients or like coaching clients, it's all like through people, like it's people I know. And then this is why even as a marketer, I'm just like this posting on social does not work for me. Like,
I think
you know,
for
I just need
you, I mean, the
yeah.
more I talk to you, the more I realize like you are such a community person. And that's why you love things like Flow Club or coffee chats
Yes.
or in-person things because you are able to like make a genuine connection with a single person or a few people and then they connect you with people and you all I mean, that's what networking is at the
Mhm.
end of the day. But I think a lot of us think of networking as this like stiff, like business focused thing that we do. But I feel like you look at networking as like a holistic, like, how can we help each other? How can we support each other? Hey, do you want to talk about this thing? Hey, can we solve each other's problems? And it doesn't have to always be a business exchange.
Oh my gosh. You know, Kristen, you talked to Kristen.
Yeah,
Hi,
yeah.
Kristen. She literally was like, you need to do a workshop or a masterclass on authentic networking. I was like,
Yeah.
what the heck is that? It's just like your connection vibes and your networking, it doesn't even feel like you're just literally just talking to someone
Yeah,
and you're
you're just
making a
making
new friend.
friends. Yeah.
I was like, isn't that what it's all about? Like, and then there's calls where people are just like so amazed that sometimes like, oh, I can connect you with this person. And it's just, we just met.
Yeah.
But I'm just that person, right? Because I'm not like, oh, I connected Rachel with this one person, so then she can do this for me. I'm just like, I cannot do that. Like, it's
Yeah.
not innate in me. So maybe this is another sign. It's like I should do that
I think
workshop.
it's important. I wonder too. I know you're not like doing coffee chats strategically, but I wonder if there's a numbers game in it where just like how I'm like sending connection requests and follow up messages on LinkedIn, it's a numbers game where how I end up getting clients out of it. Like, how many coffee chats are you doing that at like in a month or something? And then what does that look like a few months later as far as like your client load, you know?
That's so interesting. I guess I never, maybe I should go back and calculate
I
that.
wonder because you
But
have it in your calendar, right?
yeah, because for example, Kristen, right?
Mhm.
She actually recently introduced a new client. It was a one-off. The client needs to do her own thing first, but
Mhm.
I know Kristen through Flow Club.
Yeah.
And I know Kristen 3 years ago ish. So it's like, how the heck would I know? Just like me, like wanting to get to know someone because they're cool on Flow Club
Hmm.
would turn into, hey, I have a bunch of friends and one of them probably is a good fit.
Yeah.
And I was just like, oh, okay, cool. And then I was literally telling that same person, I was like, this is kind of how maybe how we should rethink marketing
Hmm.
because it's like she was trying to tell me about a funnel and I was helping her with some like copywriting stuff. And I was just like, but what if we don't need to do all of that? I think that's also my sales side because I used to do account-based marketing
Hmm.
in B2B SaaS, and that's very like a targeted marketing programs for like a small list of target companies like
Hmm.
that we're going after. And so working with sales, my mentality got to a point where it's like, how do we do a lot of high quality touch points,
Hmm.
but like not like 20 steps,
Yeah.
right? Because a lot of people that online are teaching you like, you gotta have a big funnel, like get people in and then they go down and but I'm just like, that's already like 20 steps.
Yeah. Yeah.
But like I literally, well, I guess I nurtured my relationship with Kristen and then that took 3 years, but
Yeah.
like,
Yeah. Yeah.
but literally intro, person liked it, and then we got on call.
But I
Like
think
she paid for a
time is a
session.
huge factor. It's really hard to predict how long it's going to take from when you connect with somebody to when they become your client or your business partner or someone who refers you, right? Like you can't
Mhm.
predict that, but generally it's like somewhere between 6 months and 2 years for me. That's usually
Mm.
what it works out to. And now I know that that's very helpful. But when you first start out, you're just like, I need to get clients now. Where do I get them? Who's going to talk to me? And it like feels really urgent and pressure. And it feels like if you don't get like a conversion in your first like 6 months or your first 3 months, that like this is not viable and it's never going to work out. And that's not actually true. People take so long. Like I'll see the same TikTok ad. I've talked about this so many times on the podcast. I've seen the same TikTok ad for this same pants for the past fucking year straight, and I just bought them last week, you know? And like take time. People need to see things and hear things and feel things so many times in so many different ways. So when something's not working, how can you just like reframe it and try it a different way?
Oh my gosh, such a good mentality. That's like something I need. Because like we were talking earlier before recording, I was like, oh my gosh, as a marketer, like how do I not have things figured out? Like
Mm-hmm.
sometimes there's that guilt because I'm
Mm-hmm.
just like, I used to do so great in like corporate environment. I'm like, do I not know how to be a marketer? You know?
I think it's
Like,
different too, because I think you expect, we think that there is a formula, there is a right way to do everything. And
hmm
specific people who look successful to us from the outside know it
hmm
and must be using it and must have all the answers and they have a form and it's perfect, right? And that is
yeah,
not true. That's not the truth. It's never been the truth. It's just a story we tell ourselves because it makes us feel better about being stuck, right? But in reality,
yeah,
like maybe for you, launching doesn't look like sending an email series and making a bunch of posts on social media. Maybe for you, launching actually looks like just doing a ton of coffee chats, like as many coffee chats as you can and seeing where it leads, you know?
it's always so funny to hear things coming back from you because I'm like, isn't this the kind of concepts I teach my clients
You
too?
do, you do. But here's
Like
the thing, you
I
can't really coach
forget.
yourself, you know? It's so easy to forget these things. You need a
Ugh.
mirror, you know?
Maybe just pretend I'm talking to Rachel.
I do
Just
the
reflect
same
back.
thing. I'll be like, what would Michelle do? Or what would Marie do? You know? But I think it's
Yeah.
also on that same vein of like, we think other people know what's right or that there is a perfect framework, a right way to do
hmm
something. That's that like comparison thing going on in our brain. Comparison is the thief of joy, right? But we have
hmm
these like preconceived notions about who someone is because of their online presence, and we put them on a pedestal and we look at them and like make these assumptions about them, like all of their launches are
Yes.
successful or they're a really good salesperson or whatever. We were talking about how like you found out recently someone that you looked up to that you follow actually was like faking it till they make it when it's having a really hard time. And like when you're struggling, you look at these people who are successful and you think, why am I not like them? But you're not
Yeah.
looking at the fact that you're doing like 20 different things and that person was singularly focused on a specific goal, or that person had privilege. I recently found out someone I really look up to had like a massive inheritance, and it didn't matter what they earned from their business, they were still able to support themselves. And obviously, like for retirement purposes and like ideally their business should be making money and they want to be making money, but they were like, yeah, I mean, it's no big deal. I can be like choosy about my projects now because this came through for me, and it's really great. And I was just sitting there like, I have never had that privilege. I feel like I never will. My partner like paid for my cat's vet bill the other day, and I literally cried. I felt so
Oh,
bad about it because it was so much money. For me, it was such a big deal. It was so much money. It was so stressful, and I couldn't afford it. And he was just like, yeah, no worries. Like, I'll just pay for it. Like, she's my cat too. We live together. I love her so much. And I was just like, and we have all these stories about like what other people are doing. What money means to us is not what money means to them. What success means to us is not what success means to them. There's no like perfect picture, right?
I think that's like, you know, when people, this is the thing I have with like authenticity or vulnerability, because the things we see, even on LinkedIn, the creators we both mutually would look up, not look up to, but we know of,
Yeah.
it's like, I'm not trying to discredit them. I just think some parts of it are so curated
Yes.
that you already consent. But people, most people might not know that.
Mm-hmm.
There's more of us calling it out now, but I'm just like, most people just feel like, you know, that is, they forget the privilege, they forget where they started and
Mm-hmm.
all, and what the resources they have, right? Or even
Mm-hmm.
like, let's say inheritance.
Mm-hmm.
And those things make a difference. And also, like, are they going to therapy? Are they doing all these things? Like, I'm going through my own health thing we were talking
Yeah.
about,
Are they
right? And
having chronic, like I have two chronic health conditions. I'm
yeah.
doing all of this through that. That adds another hurdle, right?
And that's something I feel like it's not widely talked about, but I feel like should be more normalized is like, because I guess another problem I have with this industry, the industry we're all in, is
Mm-hmm.
that if you're not consistent or if you're not doing things,
Mm-hmm.
you're like lazy, you're not doing, it's like all these negative things. And then
Mm-hmm.
you already like, I'm dealing with a lot of things personally and professionally. You're like, this is making me worse. But then,
Mm-hmm.
you know, this is what they say. They're like, you need to poke at people's pain points
Mm-hmm.
and like sell the solution. But this is why I have problems with even that kind of marketing methodology,
Mm-hmm.
because I'm just like, sometimes you're triggering someone's nervous system.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah. Like this is why
and
empathy marketing is so important. Like I've gotten
Mhm.
so many ads again for the pants about how it'll like cover up your tummy and how it will make you like snatched or whatever. And I'm like having body image problems because I've gained a lot of weight the past couple of years because of my stupid health conditions, and it's like
Mhm.
I mean, it's not uncontrollable, but it feels like it is sometimes. But those
Mhm.
things like are people poking at your pain points, whereas what would have been so much better for me is if someone was like, these pants are super comfortable, they're not gonna like cut into your stomach and you'll actually be able to sit down in them. You know, like I that would have made me happier
Yeah.
because I buy all these pants and I'm like, oh, these will make me look hot, and then I put them on, I'm like, these are uncomfortable as fuck, I'm never gonna wear them again, you know.
Is this like, I've been hearing more words because people are like, they're trying to player back to me like what I do, and they're like, it's more like authentic marketing,
Mm-hmm.
heart-led marketing.
Mm-hmm.
And I was just like, is that just what it is? Maybe people are tired of, you know, the urgency, the hustle, the like pain, like all
Mm-hmm.
these kind of things I used to learn also in corporate and like tech
Yeah,
marketing, right?
I think there's also like an aspirational veil, like there
Mm,
what we
yes.
think we want, like we want to move to New York City, or we want to make $100,000 or this or that. Like I saw someone, I actually just had a consultation yesterday with somebody and I was evaluating their sales page for them, and one of the things she had on it was that she made $100,000 a year and that she had hit like $5 million revenue or whatever, and that's super rare for like female owned businesses that are small, like smaller than a team of 10 or something like that. And I was like, yeah, that is true, but like what does that mean? Is that like $100,000 in revenue? And she was like, yeah. And I was like, okay, cool, but like what does that actually mean? Like what were your expenses? You had subcontractors that you were paying. Like you didn't actually make $100,000. And when we think of making $100,000, that's income after taxes. That's money that we can actually spend, right? And in reality, if you take away all of the expenses and all of the taxes, this person made like maybe 70K. right? And that's fine. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with making that much money. The wrongness is the claim of I made 100K. And it's not incorrect. That was 100K gross revenue. But it sort
Yes.
of creates this like misconception because most people who are getting into solopreneurship have never had to think about like, okay, so 20% of this is going to end up going to taxes. And then I'm also going to have to pay for all this software. And then I might pay a subcontractor. And then at the end of the day, here's what I'm going to be left with. We think of it like a paycheck. Like I get 100K a year after taxes. That's probably 90 or 80, whatever. And same with like the veiled misconception of like, I have 5,000 followers. Like, what the fuck does that even mean? You know? Or like, I had like a $10,000 launch. What does that mean? Did you sell 3 products? Did you sell 500 products? Like these people make these broad claims and they're very aspirational. It's what we're looking to do for ourselves. So we get hooked. But then on the other side of it, we're like, this doesn't apply to me at all.
I feel like this goes in tandem with, you probably see those like, oh, um, something about, it's like with limiting beliefs. Like if you don't want to make more, you have a limiting belief. Or like you can quantum leap or manifest into $1 million. And all of these things, I'm just like, what? Like, what if I'm okay with just 100K a year?
Yeah.
Or maybe even less than, right?
Yeah.
Because it's, again, I actually tell my clients this too. I'm just like, let's make sure you cover your monthly expenses as your first sales target.
Yeah.
And then like post revenue.
Yeah.
And then so the after tax stuff. But then we can start thinking, oh, you want to go traveling. Oh, you want to save for your kids' college fund. Then let's tack on another 5K. Like versus like I need to go from 0 to 100K right away. I'm just like, how much pressure and health is that going to cost you, right? We forget about that because people telling you to like, oh, you can do this in your sleep. I'm just like, you're literally their product.
Yeah.
That's how they're making money.
Yeah. It's just like how if something is free, your attention is usually the price.
Yeah.
Right.
So I think now I heard in the States is it FTC? Like it's getting a crackdown on these revenue like claims.
Yeah.
You can't really use that anymore.
I mean, we'll see how it goes. But yeah, like the thing about all these FTC regulations is like, are they actually going to be enforced? You know?
Yeah.
Especially with all these like teeny tiny coaches. But yeah, it's not something that I think should be, if you are going to use something like that. And I'm not like, I'm a person who will literally post like, this is how I make 8K gross. But then I post like each client, how much they pay me, what like how long the contract is, how much I paid in taxes, how much my software cost is. And then at the end, I'm like, this is how much I'm actually taking home. This is what it actually looks like. Because I don't want people to have the wrong idea. Like I got into freelancing because I wanted to live a more independent life. I wanted freedom. I wanted to be able to travel. And I hoped I could make enough money as I made as a barista, which is a really fucking low bar. But I think a lot of people see freelancing as like a way to expand their income. And it's true. Like I tripled my barista income in less than 3 months of freelancing full time. And that's amazing. And it's so nice. But that's income. That's like after taxes. But that doesn't necessarily mean it's going to happen right away for everybody. And it should not be the only reason. Like if money is the only reason you're doing anything, you're not going to have a good time. Let me tell you, it's not going to go well for you.
This is so reminiscent because you just had that, I forgot her name, but the personal finance, the woman who came in.
Allison Cade?
Allison.
Yeah.
I literally was like,
she's coming back to Pop Club in February.
Love it.
Yeah.
Okay. Because I was just like, I think I'm the only one being like, I don't have all these other like things I need to take care of. Like, and I'm not like getting married anytime soon, getting a house, getting a car, because I might want a digital nomad. So like, and try that out.
Yeah.
So I don't have anything like societal's like, oh, you need to save money for this and save. So I'm just like, I think I remember saying in the group call, I was like, I don't know what I'm making money for. And I know that's a big privilege.
Yeah.
Right. And I acknowledge that. But at the same time, I'm just like, but I want to help people. So I'm just like, but I also need to like, I could just afford my rent. It's like, it's fine. But it's just like, it would be nice if there was continuous income coming through. And I think now this is why I'm in my resting period where I'm trying to figure things out. It's like, what am I doing?
Yeah.
Like this is why I feel like I said on my Substack, like people don't realize business building is like a meditative practice. It's like a
Yeah,
journey inward.
it
What
is.
life do you want? What lifestyle? Like, who are you?
Yeah.
Like all these other things,
And
right?
like,
And
what
it's
are your
really,
hangups about money? What are your hangups about your self-worth? Like, are
yeah.
you equating your self-worth to your work? Or like before
It's
you
a,
were in corporate, you got praise from your job. You don't get
yes.
praise as a freelancer. That is not talked about enough. No one is out here. I have one client who has given me praise. Thank you, Sean. Thank you so much. But like, that's it. The one guy, you know?
Think it depends on the company. Mine has been really nice because they really appreciate it. Because I feel like I do a lot more for them though, because I feel it's, I think that's the thing with me as a copywriter, because I also used to do so many different roles in marketing. I'm like,
Mm.
okay, so what is your demand gen strategy or content strategy? Let's figure out how this
You're
versus
your own
they literally,
scope creep because you want everything to work together so well.
yeah, I literally, they just want a blog post.
Yeah.
And then here I am like planning their whole thing. So I feel like people who work with me always feel like it's a, what's it called, bang for their buck. Like
Yeah, yeah.
they get so much value. I'm like their strategic partner. That's why it's like
I feel
we've
like
been
you're
together for so long.
have you marketed yourself as a fractional CMO yet?
Honestly, I go up against the ones who are ex CMOs. So I kind of left that path. But yes, a lot of people are like, "Oh, you're just like a fractional CMO who can do so many things." I'm
That's
just
what you're
like,
doing.
yeah,
Yeah. Oh my God.
but as a copywriter,
Yeah.
like,
Yeah. I think, okay, wait, there's two things I want to talk about before we get past them. Let's come back to the CMO idea though. But you just said something that I think is important to touch on. You said, this is why I'm in my rest period right now. I
mm,
don't think anybody really, I mean, not anybody, but I don't think a lot of people are talking about how thing this is a thing in life in general. Earth does it. We have seasons, right? We don't think
yes,
about the fact that our business has seasons. Our business has busy periods and rest periods. Our bodies get burnt out and then we need to rest. And it's this sort of roller coaster. Our income as freelancers does the same thing. There are ebbs and flows and waves. And I think it's so important to be okay with that. Like, we are never going to have a consistent, like, we're making the same amount of money every month. We have the same amount of work every month. We have, nothing is going to look the same all the time and be like, you can find stability and you can escape the feast famine cycle and you don't necessarily need to be overbooked or underbooked and like yo-yoing. But I do think
hmm
that there is this like misconception or desire to like find to like arrive at like the perfect business, the perfect income, the perfect workload, whatever. And it's just not realistic. Like, we all need rest periods. And I love that you are openly talking about your rest period and that you're taking it you're trying really hard to take it for yourself.
I think it's a lot of deconditioning. I'm just coming to terms that I still have corporate habits that's been a bit, I thought I broke them. Like the universe is like, did you actually? So
Well, it's a
I
practice, right? Like, you can,
but we were talking about problem solving. Being a
yes.
problem solver, it's like, how come I haven't figured this out? How come this problem is not going away? Why is it coming back? And then you go in this loop of like being disappointed and frustrated and overwhelmed with yourself. And then you just like, okay, whatever, I'm gonna brush past, like, sweep it under the rug and let's move on. And it comes back to bite you. And if you, I don't know if you were like been reading all my monthly recaps on
Yeah.
Substack, but literally my friends were like, you've been like sick almost every month this year.
Yeah.
And like, what if you just actually rested for a month? Like, don't
Hmm.
touch, don't post content, don't do anything.
Hmm.
Just like do whatever you want, like live life. And
Yeah.
maybe you'll feel a lot better than that mode. And I was like, these days I was thinking like, why did I go into that pattern? I'm
Mm.
like, that's literally what I used to do in corporate
Yeah.
because
You were
you don't get
expected
that
to.
many sick days.
Hmm.
Yeah. And then if you run out of those, you use personal days. If you run out of those, you use maybe vacation days. And then you're
Hmm.
just like, you can't get sick.
Yeah.
Even if you're sick, unless you're like, you have to lay in bed, you're kind of still working,
Hmm.
right? And I'm just like, dang, I thought I broke that pattern.
Yeah. Yeah. It's really, it is a practice. Like, you can break the pattern, but then you don't have to break it again. But each time you break it, it gets easier, right?
Yeah.
And
I think
that's
it's
what practice
awareness.
is,
The
Yeah.
awareness starts first.
Yeah, you always have to notice things before you can fix them. But here's the other thing we were talking about earlier before we started recording. You and I are very solution-oriented people. This is why when we get on calls with each other and we talk about our problems, we usually find a solution together because that's what we love to do, right? And in our personal lives, I experience this too. We want to solve every problem right away. We want to fix everything, but there are some things you cannot solve right away. Some things take time, just like building relationships for business takes time. Like sometimes you're just not going to know the answer right away. Some things just need time. Like I was like, why am I not going to the gym every week? What the fuck is wrong with me that I can't just consistently go work out? Every time I leave the gym, I feel better. Like I'm doing it to feel better. It's not about like the fact that I want to lose weight or get stronger or whatever. It's literally just a habit because I know that I feel better afterward. I couldn't figure it out. And then I realized this week, the past 3 weeks, I've gone to the gym 4 days a week and I'm so proud of myself. And I realized I finally got it because I had other things under control that I was also working on. Like the most important thing for me the past like 6 months was figuring out how to control my blood sugar because it was affecting every ounce of every day of my health, of my energy. And it was important. It's really hard to change your entire diet. Like this is something you do 3 to 6 times a day, eat. And you like you have to figure out what you're eating and like find a new system because whether we know it or not, our eating habits are systems that we can create for ourselves, right? So I was so focused on that. I moved in with my partner. I'm like changing the way I'm doing my business. Like I got a dog. Everything is changing. Why would I expect myself to be able to change 17 different habits at once? Like spend a month fixing one thing. And then other things will fall into place. If it's a priority for you, if it's bothering you, you will figure it out, right? But that doesn't mean you have to figure it out instantly. And that has been such a
Yes.
hard lesson to learn.
I think that's such a good reminder because I feel like I'm trying to change everything in my life all at once. You know that movie Everywhere and
Yeah,
like all
everything
at
all at
once?
once.
I was like feel like the mom. Like 'cause I'm just like why? And then people but then again, this is another corporate thing because I'm so used to that. Like
Mhm.
people when I tell people I'm managing 6 different social channels, I'm launching a 3-month program, I'm doing my food healing journey and all of these things, and I'm just like, that's nothing. Because like in the corporate world, you're doing way more things. You're talking to so many different
Mhm.
stakeholders. You're managing expectations. There's maybe politics, but then I'm just like, but that's why I burnt out.
Yeah, yeah.
That's why I burnt out. So I'm just like,
I
why
think
am I
it's
trying to
also your expectations for yourself. Like your human design type, you are a high achiever, right? You you want to overachieve and you are like vastly overachieving. You know how many social channels I promote my shit on? 2. Do
but
email
here's
marketing. That's it. Like, oh, I guess
but you
YouTube
know
3. Okay, sorry. Go ahead.
I think it's because you nail down a system. And I
Yeah.
think you don't bog down on like um sorry.
No, you're
Um
good.
you don't get bogged down on okay, so I'm creating this content. You probably like sometimes you see stuff on the pop plug, right? And then you
Mhm.
just literally copy and paste and rephrase it for LinkedIn and things
Mhm.
like that.
Mhm.
I think maybe there's no right or wrong in this. I've been thinking about this a lot. I might write a Substack post too.
Mhm.
Where I'm thinking more like an artist. Where like, do I want to do oil painting today, or do I want
Mhm.
to do pottery, or do I want to do sculpture? Like, So I see like all these social media platforms as mediums, like
Mhm. Mhm.
canvases, right? So I'm just like, what do I want to talk about today? And which way would it be like, which platform would best convey my message?
I
And
love
that's
that
what,
as long as you're not feeling spread too thin and stressed out, you
and
know?
that's where I'm trying to figure it out because I think what was also happening was I felt too limited, like on a soul level. Like
Mm.
just pick one lane and pick
Mhm.
one topic and build a building audience on one platform.
Mhm.
I was actually talking to someone, the same person yesterday, and she's like, it's all part of an experimentation, or
Totally.
like an experience on
Mhm.
Earth. What do you want to experience today? If your soul wants to play in all these different things, go ahead,
Mhm.
right? But like you said, maybe it's not tiring going down the route of burnout, but it's also satisfying that creative expression within yourself.
Mm.
Like I think to me, to be honest, now I'm in a state like these days where I create content in the
Mhm.
lens of I'm just sharing knowledge, kind of what you do too. Like you're
Mhm.
at that state, right?
Yeah.
And that's why it's so easy to put out content. And I just feel like, oh, I can post this on Instagram. Right now, I'm doing the 30 days challenge again.
Mhm, mhm,
So
mhm,
now I'm back on Threads posting in Mandarin, and I'm gonna repurpose that into Substack notes and then
mhm,
maybe LinkedIn posts.
mhm,
And I felt so like it's so less stressful, and I'm slowly figuring out that kind of system that works
mhm,
for me, but also feels liberating. Because what I'm realizing, even when I was talking to my past clients, is that they might be writers, but they like maybe short form and long form. And like, but then
mhm.
if they want to pick one, they also get paralyzed. You know, like
I think there's a
it's
I
like the
there's
art of redistribution,
yeah,
like
yeah.
repurposing.
Yeah, I think there's sort of two things that I've noticed about myself that I've worked on a lot over the past like 4 or 5 years that I've really been actually doing content marketing. And because I think I used to feel the same way as you, where it was like a form of self-expression. What I've realized now, actually, I think I figured this out through the artist way. I like to separate. So I have my business and then I have self-expression as a separate thing. I do
Mm,
self-expression through my business, but the reason my shit is so systemized and it feels like I've clicked in and I figured it out is because I experimented and then I analyzed the data. So like I experimented with LinkedIn for a year, I analyzed the data, I figured out what worked, what didn't. That's why I talk about the topics I do. That's why I host the free workshops I do, because it's what resonated with people. It's what people needed the most. It's what brought people in the door. And
mm,
that's the reason I use LinkedIn and not Instagram, which I used to use, right? I used to be on Instagram, TikTok, Pinterest, YouTube, and Twitter and LinkedIn. And it was just way too much for me. I wanted to pick the most effective path and just master that. And so that's what I've done. And now I'm kind of adding little things back in. Like I'm starting to use Pinterest a little bit more now. I'm starting to use YouTube more. And it's great, but it feels so much more focused and targeted and effective because I know what I'm doing and I have a clear message. Whereas before, I was just kind of sharing absolutely everything. I would post on Instagram stories like once an hour, and it would be like personal shit, business shit, self expression shit, quotes that I liked. And it was just like way fucking too much. Whereas now my personal self expression is not a part of my business anymore. It's like, I doodle and procreate and I create like little cartoons for the covers of potential romance novels I want to write. Or like I go to Barnes and Noble and get magazines and I make collages, or I go to like an artist group, or I make videos for fun but I never post them, or I make music
mm.
loops at home and I never actually share them. Like no one I have like an entire folder of loops of me playing the flute in like
That's
techno and
cute.
like dance and stuff, and it's so fun for me to make, but no, they'll probably never see the light of day. And the artist way really convinced me to start doing these things for myself. And like I have like 5 romance novels started, and I probably will finish all of them, and maybe I'll publish them when I'm like 40 or 50 and I'm no longer like leaning on my brand so much for my income. But like I used to want to like use my business as self-expression, but then my business took over my life and I got so burnt out and it wasn't fun anymore. Like I fucking hate Instagram now. And like making
Hmm.
cute videos for Instagram used to be like the highlight of my day. And it's just not
Hmm.
anymore, you know?
I think maybe self-expression, I'm not trying to divide self-expression to two more things, but I just feel like when you were describing that, I'm like, I think about that is more like personal life,
Mhm,
not personal, like hobbies,
mhm.
interests, like all these things. I guess I also think of it as the inclusion of what are my thoughts on white privilege or
Yeah.
like community building or marketing. Like that's also expressing of thoughts
Yeah,
and
yeah, yeah.
somewhat tied to business and marketing or whatever it is.
Yeah.
But you're so right. But I do feel like maybe I need to create something where no one's gonna see the light of day because I'm like, I've been like binge watching, like, not binge watching, just I'm into like K dramas again or like Korean reality shows like Culinary Class Wars, which is so good. Everyone should go watch it. Or like ancient Chinese palace dramas,
Mhm.
like things like that. And I'm just like, I want to share that somewhere because that part of me is not getting satisfied right now either. So I'm
Yeah.
like, it's probably not going to be on Substack or whatever, but
I think it's kind of
I,
like that principle of like when a sculptor is sculpting in stone, they say they're finding the sculpture in the rock. They're not forming the rock into the
oh,
sculpture. It's like that, like
oh,
you're sort of here with like a big stone, which is like all the different media that you want to share your feelings and thoughts on, and you just haven't found the clear message. You haven't found, the only way to find those things is experimenting, you know?
and I think it's also, I don't know what your thoughts are on this, is that they're all sides of you.
Yeah.
I think I'm trying to let go of compartmentalizing as well. Because I guess I was having difficulty like being a certain way. And that's why, my early days on my Instagram was more like calm and serenity. Like it feels like I'm doing guided meditation, like I'm a teacher or something. And then I'm like, there's this passion side of me, right? Like
Mhm.
today. And then my clients would just be like, holy crap, you're so different from your in a good way.
Yeah.
But like, there's so many different sides of us, right? Whether it's personality, vibes, interests, and all
Mhm.
of this. And I think it's a culmination of all of those things that eventually you attract the people who are attracted to the different sides of you. I see it also like these platforms, these expressions or content pieces as kind of like people have different portals to access your world.
Mhm.
Versus, I guess I was seeing it as if I only do LinkedIn and talk about this one topic, blah, blah,
Mhm.
they see me through one lens and I'm only going to get one kind of person. I,
Yeah.
as extreme as it is,
Mhm.
and that might work for some people. And I think it's because the more I've talked to even like the Taiwanese creators, right? Some of them, like the health coach I'm working with, for example,
Mhm.
let me tell you, he has no funnel.
Yeah.
He has no masterclass workshops or whatever. And you know why I decided to buy from him is because I saw his stuff, well, because I follow other creators
Mhm.
and they tagged him. I was like, who is this dude? And this is like some mid 40s dude
Mhm.
talking about he literally like had depression, was started a business, failed. I'm just like, why would you say all of these things? And it make usually people are just like, would you want to work with someone like that?
Yeah.
But because I have a basic knowledge of like TCM, like Chinese
Mhm.
traditional Chinese medicine, I started reading into his things. I'm like, this guy knows his stuff.
Mhm.
But then when I looked at his Instagram page, it's all talking about like not really spiritual things, but it talks about the brain and how our brain is playing games with us.
Mhm.
All these things that I've been thinking about, he's talking about. There's nothing about this is how I'm doing this food healing thing. There's nothing about that.
Mhm.
And like he only has one Instagram highlight
Mhm.
about his program.
I mean,
And it's
this
a
is
bit
like the
vague.
power of personal of references and like networking, right? This is like
But
the
it's also
perfect example of it.
I think it's also what if I didn't I've been thinking like what if I just naturally because algorithm will just push things.
Mhm.
But you know how they're like your Instagram page is I always tell my clients, your Instagram page is your storefront. If
Yeah.
you go into his storefront, it's like so is he a spiritual teacher or what? Like and like a
Yeah.
fitness coach too? But then he only has a Google form for you to register to partake in this one-on-one program.
Mhm.
I'm just like and it was like several hundred it was like 800 Canadian, something like
Mhm.
that. So it's not like cheap, but it's not like super expensive. And I just still paid for it.
Yeah.
I literally did not go through a funnel.
Yeah.
And he barely had testimonials.
Well, that's
It
like
was a bit of a risk.
if
So
you
I was just
imagine
like,
his storefront, you're just walking into like a little like meditation hut and he's just there to like chat with you about all these things that you relate to. And you're like, aren't we supposed to be meditating right now? And he's like, yeah, we'll get to it. Don't worry. And then he like continues to relate to you. And like, that's the sales pitch is like, he just has similar interests to you, but he knows a little bit more about this one thing and he's here to help, you know?
but you know what's fascinating is I had a call. So you get to have these like one-on-one, like outside the food healing consultations, these one-on-ones. And
Mm-hmm.
I was like, you don't do marketing. As a marketer, I'm observing. He's like, I don't. I literally share whatever the heck I want.
Mm-hmm.
And then he's like, I think of it as playing my favorite piano piece.
Mm.
If you like, you'll stay. If you don't, you'll leave. I do
Yeah.
not care. And he's like, to be honest, if I lost my Instagram, and he's like, I really hope more people unfollow me. I was just like, this is so fascinating because he's like, the only reason why I talk about these things and attract to people like you is
Mm-hmm.
to use it as bait
Mm-hmm.
to actually tell you after this whole program is there's nothing wrong with you. You
Mm.
are already complete and whole. It's like a very meta thing. We can
Yeah.
talk about it offline, but I was just like, that is so fascinating to me. Like, he's like, the business organically just happened because,
Mhm.
like, his business. And I was just like, it's being exposed to these different kinds of how someone's building their business or marketing gives me inspiration that, like what you said, there is no
There's
formula.
no right way. Yeah.
Everyone does it slightly different, but the ones I've been seeing, at least in Asian market, is like it's you. You're just being you. Like
Hmm.
you're not writing because of an end goal of this goes into a funnel, this goes into whatever. His
Hmm.
things doesn't even have CTAs.
Yeah.
And he doesn't even reply to people. And if he does, he's like, he already made he's so funny. He wrote a post before, he's saying, like, oh, I won't reply to all of you, so all I'll do is give you hearts, like, as a comment. I was like, that's so funny to me. Like, it's just like, it's not, you don't have time to respond, but you have time to give, like, hearts
Yeah.
as an
Yeah.
acknowledgement,
Yeah.
you know?
I
It's
think
just,
also this is sort of that it's like that I say I installed a filter in my brain. I've been practicing a lot for me, not for me. Like if someone is
yes.
for me, they'll stick around. If something is not for me, I unfollow or I don't respond or I block. Like this is not for me. This is for me, right? And he seems to be doing that very well.
This totally reminded me, and I'm so glad you brought this up because I was gonna bring up this guy too. Well, I only ages ago when I started with my naturopath, I think she was following this guy.
Mhm.
But then I don't know how it happened, but he started popping up on my Instagram again. I never followed him.
Mhm.
And I was like, this guy looks familiar. It's like his Instagram handle is marketing for hippies. And it is exactly what you like. He's not like I don't, anyways, I think it's an experience yourself. I think it's
Yeah.
very fun and very authentic. And it's the same guy I shared in Pop Club
Yeah,
about
I thought
the,
that sounded familiar.
right? And I was just telling my friends, I was just like, it's so cool. I never saw a page that says about you and me.
Mhm.
It's always about or about me. And then his sub
Mm.
tab, right? It says, are we a good fit? Or are you a good fit? And then on it, the typical like you are this, but
Mhm.
not like that. He says it in a different way. And then he's like, we share similar thoughts about these topics. He goes into politics, which is I was like, holy crap,
Wow.
like that's a
Yeah.
very
So rare.
divisive thing.
Yeah.
The economy, the climate change things, like all these things, right? And I was just like, this guy's really like doing something different.
Mhm.
And then I started reading his Instagram and I loved the way he put it because I guess we both are doing similar things, but
Mhm.
he calls it marketing should be a filter mechanism
Mhm. Yeah.
because he's like, actually, it's not about attracting. It's all about like these people will come and it's kind of like, I think of a water filter. Like you're just trying to filter until it's the thing you want, right?
Yeah.
So he's like, don't be scared of giving everything away or like saying what's on your mind because
Mhm.
if they're not going to click with you
Mhm.
and you're going to find it out about it the hard way,
Mhm.
like once they become your client.
Totally.
And I feel like we've been taught, like, at least when I used to work in tech, it's like, oh, you gotta give little crumbs and then you gotta like gatekeep it and then you go into a demo and then you go
Mhm.
into I'm just like, no, let's just cut all that
This
BS
is
and
why
just
I
like,
just give it all away for free. I used to have a course, the Get Clients course, and now
mm,
I do a distilled 1-hour version as a webinar for free. And I give away the guide. The guide used to be a PDF download that you had to like fill out a form, get an email, download the PDF, then you get access to it. Now it's a fucking
hmm.
Google Doc. Like, click the link, baby. Take it away, duplicate it. Please don't distribute it. That's illegal. But, like, yeah, feel free. Like, duplicate it, customize it. It's yours. That's gotten me so many more leads. It's bolstered my reputation. It has helped so many people get clients. And giving that much value away feels so much better to me than like the bullshit of the whole like breadcrumb trail that I had before, and I was charging like $95 for this course, you know?
And I think that's the other thing that, oh, if we give all of this away, what if someone just never comes? But as I've heard from others, as I've also learned from them, is that you will help people in different ways. If you think of
Mm-hmm.
a pyramid, right?
Mm-hmm.
Those who get your free stuff and get so much value, you were there for that part of their journey.
Yeah.
And then you move up a tier. Maybe they need more hand holding. So maybe it's a more group coaching.
Need
And then maybe
accountability.
they need the VVVVIP experience, just a one-on-one with Michelle and Rachel. You
I think
know,
at the end of the day, even if they never become your
it's
clients, which so many of them don't, they become good referrals. Like if they found
it's
value
your
in it, they're going to
advocates.
share it. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're just building different kinds of people to come in.
Yeah.
And we're so obviously at the end of the day, we're running businesses, so we
Yeah.
do want to make some sort of money, right? But we forget there's a certain balance to it. You can't have all buyers and no advocates. You can't have all followers and no, like, no buyer. It's a delicate thing. And I just pulled up his stuff because I just saw it yesterday. I really was like, oh my gosh, this relates because he
I want
literally wrote, it's just, I'm gonna send it to you. Wait, is there a chat? There's a chat.
There's a chat. I
But
want you to make a series of like all the interesting alternative marketing things you see because you
dude,
have such an eye and I would
I
read
have
all of
too
it.
many.
This is great though. This is so
This is
helpful. And it's examples of like the way that you can help your clients strategically and creatively find other ways to market without having to do the perfect funnel tofu bullshit.
Rachel, did you just create my content strategy?
This is your strategy. This is your topic because it allows you to talk about all of these other things that you're interested in and also like exactly what you're helping people with.
Yeah.
It's
Oh
miraculous.
my gosh.
Michelle. This is why
You
we
need
talk.
to cut this clip so I remember.
I
will
will.
for you.
I'll send it to
But
you.
that is so true. I'm trying to find things that light me up, but it's just too autopilot sometimes that I forget. Like
It's
I just do this so naturally. But it's true. A lot of people. Okay, before I talked about what his name is Tad. Tad said, I recently had a call with another creator in Asia, and he was just saying he was struggling with courses is not doing that hot. Let's be real. Like no one wants to do courses anymore.
I am
Everyone wants
so tired of
one-on-one or some
courses.
sort of like self-paced because nobody got time. And we're all tapped out with, elections, climate change, wars. So anyways, I was like, oh, he's been trying to market to trying to get clients in US. I was like, why don't you help US clients or North American clients get into Asian market? That's a whole niche itself. There's a
Yeah.
whole market for that.
Yeah.
And then we were starting talking about that. He's like, wow, I watched your YouTube video. You're very calm and very like slow in a way of like, you're very empathetic. You're trying to explain things to people. But on this call, like he literally was like, you should have just like, you should start a podcast where you just get people to ask you questions and you tell them the answers because he's like, you're literally such a quick thinker that can connect so many different dots and give people like unconventional solutions. And I'm like, oh,
that'd be so good.
Oh, I was just like so shocked. So when you just said that, it just all clicked. Anyway.
I think this is also a good example of like the mirror effect that other people have. Like solopreneurship is solo. You are alone all the fucking time. And you need to make friends that you can talk to about it. And like Flow Club was a great way to meet people for us. Like Pop Club's a great way to meet people. Shameless plug. Like I've met friends on LinkedIn. I've met friends on Instagram. I've met friends in person that lived locally to me. Whatever it is, you need people to talk to bounce ideas off of so that, because like, or even your friends or your family, like ask your family what you obsessively talk about, or your friends or like your roommates or something, because I am sure they see things that you don't see. This is always true, you know?
That is so funny. My partner literally always says, you're a rambler. He's like, you can go on and on. He's like, this is why you can do your YouTube videos in one take.
Yeah. And it's like, if you don't know what you want your niche to be or something, like just ask your friend or your partner, like, what do I talk about all the time?
Gosh.
What do you think I should do?
Yes.
Because they probably know.
But I think this helps me put things into a golden thread because there is so much I can talk about.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, my problem is more like getting the content out because I have so much to say versus most people is like, what do I talk about?
Can I tell you what I think a headline should be for you on somewhere on your website?
Yes.
Alternative marketing strategy for heart-led creatives.
Oh my gosh.
Because that is like so specific, but also leaves a lot of room for you to play, you know?
Okay, can you cut this out too? I'm gonna forget.
I need to write it
Or
down.
okay, okay, let me write it down too. Wait, alternative for heart-led creatives. That makes so much sense.
That's what you're
Oh my gosh,
doing.
that reminds me of my conversation with Jenny Gritters.
Oh, I love
Because
her.
she also does things, we're so similar. Now we're talking about maybe we'll collab.
Oh, you
Like, and I go,
should.
we're talking about, like, I could do systems or finance, like business finance stuff. So,
Yeah. She's the
anyways,
best. Anyway, if anybody's listening and you don't already follow Jenny, you should. She's so great.
we should tag all of these. We mentioned so many people.
I know. It's because you're a networker, Michelle.
I love it. But thanks for introducing me to her, even though I
Yeah.
like literally stalked her on Threads. And I was like, can you intro?
I am so glad you
But
did. Oh my God.
yeah. Okay, back to Tad. Shout out to Tad, even though I don't know him personally. But he's Canadian. I was just like,
Oh,
oh, that's so
nice.
cute.
There you go.
And I what was I gonna say? This thing I sent in the chat, he literally I'm gonna read the first part. He literally said like copywriting and says start with a deal breaker. Most people think that headlines are there to get people to keep reading. I disagree. The headline is there to eliminate almost everyone. It literally gave me a light bulb. I was like, this is why I do not like hooks.
Mm-hmm.
Like it made so much more sense
Mm-hmm.
because that is the attention grabbing. That is
Mm-hmm.
the keep reading.
Mm-hmm.
Versus this is so true. Like, do I want you in my world?
Yeah.
If you
Yeah.
start with something that's polarizing is also a hook.
Yeah.
But it made so much sense of why all these marketing that we've been hearing about all these days actually are resonating with a lot of people. Like, I
Yeah.
think there's people who try it, but they do it begrudgingly because it's the thing to do now. You know,
Yeah.
Reels is the thing
I
to
mean,
do
this is
now.
why I don't use hooks. This is why I don't do short form video. That is the only short form video I do is clips of the podcast on YouTube. That's it. I'm not here. I don't like there are so many when you are feeling like you don't know the answer, like someone else must know the answer and there's a right answer out there, or like you're insecure or you're nervous or you're feeling a scarcity mindset or some kind of urgency, and you see a hook that says 5 mistakes X, Y, and Z make, or 3 ways you can do this, or whatever. Those short videos are so fast. It is very rare that those things are actually going to sink in and you will learn them and you'll be able to use them. Most of the time when you see videos like that, they're just making you feel bad and making you want to buy a product to solve it because you can watch that video and it's not going to actually bring you a solution. Even if the things in that video are helpful and the person who made it meant well, generally, at least for me personally, they just made me feel bad. And it kept me stuck because it made me feel like I didn't know what I was doing. Like I used to
Yes.
watch videos all the time that were like 5 ways to make your launch better, or like 3 launch mistakes you're making. And I was always like, I'm a horrible launcher. I'm not successful because I'm not selling out, blah, blah, blah. And instead, when I stopped watching those videos and I treated my launch as an experiment and I just said, I'm going to do everything 10 ways and see what sticks. And then next time I launched, I will take the things that stick and multiply those by 2 and do that. And then I'll do it over and over and I will iterate and I will get better every time. I went from having 1 or 2 people buying my products when I launched to 3, 4, 5, and it slowly gets better and better. And it's more true to me and it's in my voice and it's actually working.
Yeah, and I think that's why I love places like Substack or even YouTube, like places where you can go deeper.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the trend, it's shifting back. People are tired of like, I think when I see 3 ways or 5 mistakes, these things, it also gives me FOMO, and which is a curated FOMO, which is like, oh, am I making these mistakes? Am I doing these ways? And then when you go check in on it, well, I want to read more.
Yeah.
There is no more, just buy
Yeah.
my course.
Yeah.
Like it's not that simple, but it's just like, how come we're feeding into this machine, this algorithm or social media machine that is rewarding us for that, but it's not developing our like critical thinking or like ability to, you know, dive deeper and sit with things. Because this is also feeding into people want quick fixes and people want to make $1 million tomorrow because they think that's possible because
And they
that's
want
what
to
the real
know
problem.
everything before they start. And that's what
Yeah, and I
keeps you stuck.
realized it's kind of like buying courses.
Mhm.
I was just talking to that person, right? I was just like, people are buying, and yeah, it's kind of like people don't show up to courses. Like the
Mhm.
completion rate, probably if people are honest,
25% on average is the completion rate.
it's like people are like buying for feel
Silver
I don't
bullet.
know.
They want
Oh,
to
hold on.
fix all
It's
their
more
problems.
of
Yeah.
feeling safe.
Yes.
Is that how I say in English? Sorry, I'm seeing my Mandarin word in my head, but it's basically saying like they feel okay. It's kind of like buying books. You're like,
Mhm.
it's there on my shelf. I'll get to it one day, but I have it now. But I'll
Mhm.
never get to it.
Mhm.
Like, but it's like you just think the knowledge is there. I have it whenever I want it, but
Mhm.
you're never gonna get to it.
Mhm.
Let's be real,
Yeah.
right? I'll be honest, I have a lot of books and I'm just like, I'll get to it eventually. But I
Mhm.
realized, no, I just want to buy it because it will make me feel like Also, that's the other thing, reminds me of that motions versus action.
Yeah.
It's a lot of motion.
Yeah. It
We're
makes you
doing a lot of
feel like
research.
you're making progress towards something
Yes,
and that you're
but you're
learning
not.
something, but you're not. Yeah. I think that the best way to learn is through experience and through being able to
Yeah,
ask your own questions when you are struggling with something so that you can grasp the knowledge. And like anything that's more than an hour, you're probably not going to learn anything from because it's too much consumption. You need to actually try things in order to learn them. And you need to be able to ask your follow-up questions. And this is why I only do things that are live. Like maybe it's a bad business model, but like this is why I do one-on-one coaching and Pop Club and nothing else.
yeah. It makes so much more sense. And it's more tailored to the person, right?
Yeah.
Because those three tips you saw, maybe only one really applies. And even so, you need to customize it to yourself, but you
Mm-hmm.
have no idea to do that,
Mm-hmm.
right? And you probably would be like, oh, I'm a bad human being or a bad business owner because I tried it and it doesn't work. Like,
Yeah.
But I think there's something to be said with just, I know you said trying, but I think it's also knowing what is truly meant for you. I
Mm-hmm.
think I don't want to say this, but I just feel like a lot of us probably have lost the art of like critical thinking,
It's true. It's true. I mean,
right?
I think we don't have to do it as often anymore because you
I
can
think
have
maybe
the
it's
answer
because
right away.
as problem solvers, we're always thinking. And that might be why I need to rest because my executive functioning and my naturopath told me this. She's like, you're on overdrive. You're
Mm-hmm.
thinking so many different things, doing so many different things.
Mm-hmm.
But it's also what makes you so good. But you're like, but this is why you need to rest for a while.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But I think critical thinking is like same. It's kind of like when my clients ask me what tools, like which website platform I should use. And I guess again, corporate habit, but I think this is the one good habit I kept, which is I have an Excel sheet.
Mm-hmm.
I have all the business requirements on the left, all the different platforms, price points, and I could, because I'm going to tell everyone here, like, do not trust comparison pages.
Oh my God, there are so many hidden
They
fees.
or they don't tell you all the they are only telling you things that is in their favor so they can get
Mm-hmm.
more check marks.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's literally what it is. So when I really wanted to look into like I think at one point I was looking into like Gumroad, Patreon and stuff. When I pasted their things, I'm like, dang, they don't talk about a lot of the different things. And I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
I actually need to know if you do all of these other things.
Yeah.
It takes a bit of more work,
Yeah.
but I'm like, this is how you objectively not get yourself into like paying for a lot of things you don't need.
Mm-hmm.
Or, for example, you're looking for coaches.
Mm-hmm.
You should create some sort of chart
Yeah.
or like to objectively compare and not being like, oh my gosh, I have FOMO. I need to buy this by midnight to get this
Mm-hmm.
bonus.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like,
Yeah.
no.
Also, pro tip, if they're actually a good coach and they're trying to coach for a long time, which you should hope your coach is going to do, they will do the thing again. So even if like for example, I'm launching one-on-one coaching right now. So I have 5 spots available, but like I also offer one-on-one intensives. You can do those anytime. I also offer a 6-month program. You can do that anytime. I also will reopen this in February again. Like there's always going to be
Yes.
another opportunity. There's no reason. No one is making an offer that is and putting out all this work to launch and make a sales page and everything and not going to use the offer again. Like you will have another opportunity. It's okay.
Yeah, it's not a pop-up.
And this is why I always email people like during my launches and say like literally no pressure. I will be back. Like don't worry about it. I'm always going to be here for
Oh
you.
my gosh.
Because there's
More
no
people
point.
need to write that.
I mean, it's
'Cause
urgency marketing. That's the thing. It's bro marketing,
yeah.
urgency marketing. But if there's no timeline, like for me, the reason I do it is because it's a 5-month contract. So I have openings twice a year. And if I fill all 5 of those spots, like I don't have room in my schedule to take other clients unless it's like a one-off once in a while. And it makes my income more predictable. Like I know how much money I'm going to make. But like if I didn't have to, I would not be launching. I feel bad putting urgency on it at all. You know?
I think there's a delicate balance between you want to help people keep moving forward because there are people, to be honest, who just won't do anything because they're totally paralyzed.
But
But
also,
if you're
I've had people sign up for my program and go through the
and not do
entire
it,
6 months and never do the homework, but still show up every single meeting and be like, I
oh
want to
my
do it. I
gosh.
can do it. And like, I believe in them. They can do it. It's not that they can't, but if they're not prioritizing, there's always something more important. They're too tired. Like, it's just not going to happen. Or like sometimes they're too scared to actually take the leap at the end of it. Like buying a program, working with a coach is not the silver bullet. Like you actually do have to put in effort even after you sign up. And it's really unfortunate that that's the case, but it's true.
Oh my gosh. That totally reminds me of literally the intention of creating my 3-month program, right?
Mhm.
That you literally helped me look at. It's called the Rebirth, and I really feel like I wanted to create that environment where holding people accountable. I guess I don't know how far you take it. I want to take it a step further and create a sauna for them. Like they
Oh,
built
I
in
love that.
and built-in task because
Mm.
what I found is a lot of my clients used to be a lot older than me
Mhm.
or like moms and parents or like they're doing a full-time thing and doing this. Like there's a lot.
Mhm.
I get it. And I'm like, why don't we chunk it down? Because I naturally just can project manage things
Mhm.
based on my
Mhm.
past experience in tech, right?
Yeah.
I was like, okay, let's just take this one big project or one big launch you have, chunk it down to small pieces, create buffer time, look at your schedule,
Mhm.
2 tasks on Monday, 1 task on Tuesday, 3 tasks, and you call it a day. I
Yeah.
think as solopreneurs, we have so much like stuff, like a long laundry list, like to-do list.
Mhm.
And if we only checked off 3 things, like, oh no, I have 10 more things. But
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
where I'm finding my delicate balance is, okay, I have a block of time called like for Asana task.
Mhm. Mhm.
And then I just go and work on that. And then the other times I do other things, right? So
Mhm.
every day I'm trying to not to feel too stressed,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. I love that because I
And
think for you, the intention is to like help people actually get through things. Where for me, the intention is to teach someone how to be a freelancer. If you're going to be a freelancer, you
mm,
have to be able to manage your tasks yourself. You have to be able to set deadlines for yourself and work through it. So I will sit there and say, let's put it on your calendar together. And I will follow up with you
mm,
on your due date and make sure it's done. And I make them like a prioritized to-do list and tell them how long things are probably going to take. And then I make them
mm.
put it on their schedule and show up to
It's very
coaching the next week with it
similar.
done. Yeah, yeah.
Yours is built into a calendar. I I think the thing I realized with calendars, and I have stuff on my Google Calendar too,
Mhm.
but I find is that I can't shift things around as easily because in Asana there's the calendar
Oh,
view,
yeah,
so you
that's
can see
why I
all the
like
different
using
tasks.
Notion because you can just like
It's
slide
the
the task
same.
to another day. Yeah, it's
Yeah,
just like Asana.
very similar.
That's why I used to use Asana before Notion and I loved it, but I like Notion because it's a little more fluid. But yeah, it's very
But there's
similar.
you
Yeah.
can store your documents. It's a bit more practical. Like there's
Yeah.
more things. But I feel like with these people, they're already too busy. They cannot like do their own Notion.
Well,
So
with
Asana
Notion,
is
you have to like learn Notion. And Asana is like, you can just use it.
you
Yeah.
and you can just plop in tasks. And I always tell I've actually trained a Hawaiian mental health clinic for like LGBTQ.
Mhm.
I trained their team in 1 hour because I
Yeah.
told them I'm not gonna be with you guys forever. Not
Yeah.
in a bad way. It's just like I
It's
want
just
to
the
teach you how to
reality.
fish. And because they've been trying to use Asana, and they just cannot. They
Mhm.
they just don't know how. 1 hour after, they can make templates, they can do their own tasks, they can see, oh, it makes so much sense now. Like
Mhm.
I literally like if you're gonna record a podcast, literally write out all the tasks
Yeah.
and then assign people and then templatize that so then you just duplicate the template. And
Yeah.
they're like, oh my God, So like things like that, right? This is what I want to teach and help people with because tech tools are meant to help you. People are
Mm-hmm.
always telling me like it's overwhelming. I'm like, it's really not. Like if I just teach you the basics, like you don't need to know all the features Asana has.
Mm-hmm.
Just these basic ones, move your task around, feel more at ease,
Mm-hmm.
like and get things done. And because I feel like that's the problem a lot of people are facing, even not solopreneurs, just business owners.
Mm-hmm.
There's too much to do.
And there's too
And
many
we have,
ways, like we just talked about all the different ways you can do marketing. And it's so much easier to like make that plan with somebody who knows all of these options and can just
yes,
like help you simplify it and actually accomplish it rather than sitting in the motion where you're just doing research and feeling bad about yourself and looking at all your mistakes and saying you'll do it later.
yes. Oh my gosh, I feel like every time I come on here talking to you is like a therapy and coaching session for myself. It's like, good reminder, Rachel.
Yeah. No, I love what you're doing. I hope people go check it out. It's on your website, right?
Yeah, so in order to not stress myself out, it's supposed to start next week, but obviously I haven't promoted, so no one signed up yet. But I'm just like, gonna push it to January. Like that's the flexibility, right?
Yeah. Have
Like
you
to
thought
move
about
things
making it
around.
rolling? Because you could just take, is it a cohort or is it just one-on-one?
Oh,
Because if it's
I'm
just
doing one-on-one
one-on-one,
sessions and group masterclass, which is training sessions like setting up Asana or
mhm.
like how to build landing page. Like I want to get more technical because I've heard like a lot of people do group coaching and it's a lot, what's it called? Hot seat coaching. Like people
Yeah,
just
ask
talk
me
and that
anything.
might not be valuable.
Hmm.
Some people just want to learn things. So I think depends on what the group wants.
Hmm.
But in the meantime, I am thinking of a mini series of these like quick 30 minutes and maybe 15 minutes Q&A, so maybe 45 minutes, and
Hmm.
just teaching all of these things. Like, so it's a bit of a taster of what the
Yeah.
3-month full program will be like. I'm feeling more called to do that in the interim,
Hmm.
uh, which I think will be more fun.
I love it.
And see how it goes. But yes,
Yay.
yeah.
Well, where can people
I'll
find you online?
find me online. Literally a lot of different places. Okay, so LinkedIn, Instagram, Threads, if you can read Mandarin, um, YouTube, Substack. My website is a bit of a Frankenstein right now. I have people like, so do you still do these foundation stuff for SaaS? I'm like, no. I need to change my homepage and all of that. So plug for Rachel's website building.
Oh yeah, we have
You're
a
doing that
website
soon,
building
right?
workshop. Yeah, it's in November. Let me check the calendar. Yeah, we're doing a 2-hour workshop. So I will be teaching people how to make a website with Notion and Super. But if you have a different kind of website, you can just come for accountability and co-working. It's going to mostly just be like co-working, and you can ask questions or bounce ideas off of the rest of Pop Club. Let me see where it is. Where is it? It's on here
Yeah,
somewhere.
I need to
It's
definitely revamp.
not
We're
on my
long overdue.
calendar. I need to check. Yeah, I spent like 2 years being like, I need to fix my website, and then I fixed it in like 2 days with Notion and Super, and it feels so much better now, and I get so many compliments now, which is really nice. I thought it was in November. Am I going crazy?
Did you know it?
Oh, build your website. November 2nd, Tuesday, November 2nd at 10 a.m. Eastern time.
November
So yeah,
2nd?
there'll be part tutorial, part co-working.
That says
November
Saturday?
12th. November 12th. I'm a
I was
clown.
like, you're doing stuff.
Oh my God. I saw 2. I saw the number 2. I'm so crazy. November 12th, 10 a.m. Build your website. It'll be in Pop Club. So you do have to join Pop Club, or Pop Club comes for free with One-on-One Express and One-on-One Accelerator, my one-on-one coaching programs that I'm launching right now.
Yeah, we're both launching things.
It's great.
But you know what I've been thinking? Like launches is more like I feel like there is some sort of stress around same stress around content creation.
Mm-hmm.
Like I'm thinking now is just I'm just sharing my offerings to the world.
Yeah. I used to feel really
And
stressed about it because it was the pressure to like sell out. And I put my
yeah,
self-worth on it and my like financial, like I'm not completely entirely relying on this financially. It's just like a part of my income. It's so much more
Hmm.
fun when you're just like, I'm going to talk about my offers. I'm going to try to attract people that are interested in me, that are on the same wavelength as me, rather than being like, I have to do all these things. I have to sell it. It has to be perfect, blah, 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 you know?
It's letting go of like um this concept I've heard recently, which is like what is versus what should be. It's
Mm-hmm.
very Buddhist, I feel like, but it's like
Mm-hmm.
to be not a lot. Everything in life is neutral.
Mm-hmm.
It's when humans start adding meanings and cultural references, context, all these things onto it, then we have things like good and bad,
Mm-hmm.
right? Success and failures, like, the duality of things. But to be honest, it's not. And that's why a lot of our own mental, like some mental sufferings, as in not mental health issues, but like the problems we
Stress.
create. Yeah, like the problems we create for ourselves, it's our brain playing a game with us. It's like there's truly no problems. We're
Mhm.
creating all these problems in our brain so we can solve it. It's all a game.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like it's like we think things should be a certain way, and if
Yeah.
it isn't, then we suffer because we're just like kind of what I'm doing now. Now I have to rest
Yeah.
because I'm like it's not what it should be.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that's been a bit liberating, and I need that to sit with me a bit longer. But I just thought that is so true. Like humans are the only species. Like, do animals think about this? Animals don't. But then we
Right?
can't. Animals just like I just need to eat this. I'm gonna lay on grass, you know. But their world is a bit different from ours, so
Yeah.
there's no careers or achievement like that they need to do.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. That's so true. Ugh. Well, it's so good talking to you.
yeah,
Thank you for coming on the show. We have to do this again because we could talk for like 5 hours straight if anyone would let us. Our own schedules.
yeah. Like we just talk about so many different things. See, this is what I mean. What do I
Yeah.
talk about? Too many.
Oh man.
Yeah.
Well, I hope people check out your 3-month program if they want some alternative marketing strategies.
Oh,
And
thank you.
yeah, follow Michelle wherever you get your social media. And if you want to hang
I'm
out with
everywhere.
Michelle, she hosts co-working sessions inside Pop Club all the time, literally every week. So definitely join Pop Club if you want more of Michelle.
Yeah. Monday at 1 p.m. Eastern, usually. And we do money dates.
Yeah,
Did you talk
money
about money
dates
dates?
once a
Yeah.
month. We all just show up and talk about our goals and do bookkeeping and budgeting and setting our
All the
rates and
fun
all that stuff.
stuff.
The scary stuff. Money's like the scariest thing to me. So I love money dates because they make it more fun.
We should reframe that so you don't get
I know it's such a work in progress. I'm really trying here. Oh
Yeah.
man. All right. Well, thanks for coming on the show, Michelle.
Thank you for having me.